Earlier this week, I posted on Facebook that I went to visit my mother-in-law for the first time since her accident in late March. Due to COVID restrictions, there were a limited number of people, and by limited number, I mean one, that was allowed to be in there. And so Angela would be the person that we would have go. And so she was, in a weird way, kind of a liaison between the mom and our family. So our kids still to this day have not seen her physically. That's going to happen soon. But this was the first time that I'd been able to see her. And I'm attentive to what Angela says. I pay attention to her descriptions and the progress that she's made over time, because there has been some. But I couldn't have been prepared for that. She's endured severe damage. She's in a wheelchair. And actually, when we got there, she's at a place about an hour away because there weren't any beds available in a number of the places in town. We're trying to get her to St. Anne's, okay? And that's what we really want, is for her to be local. In fact, we insist upon it because she's not going to go home, maybe ever. But it's a nice place, kind of has the feel, of like old movies or stuff you see sometimes in family films. Or at least films about families in New York or some big city where all the old ladies kind of sit outside and they're all on the lawn chairs and everything doing their nails, and they have the little reflector in front of them getting sunbath and stuff. It kind of had that vibe to it, kind of a vintage thing. But I heard someone in the background that sounded upset or sounded hurt. I didn't know that was Anne. It's difficult because she's not able to articulate what she is thinking and what she's feeling. And so if she's uncomfortable, she lets you know kind of in a way like a child would. If a child's uncomfortable, a child is going to cry. If a child wants something, they're going to make a lot of noise. They're going to make a ruckus. Well, that's kind of where she is. And so it took a while. They have her on a bunch of meds, and that's partly to do with it. But even with all of those meds, there's a lot of things that you can see in the way that she moves her tongue, or cannot move it, the way that her legs are locked into the wheelchair, the way that her hands do not move with what seems to be any kind of intention with it. She did move her hand a couple times very, very, very slowly, and each time kind of going toward the ear but gazing off, so you don't know what is it. Does she itch? Is that what she's trying to do? Is she sticking her finger just in there, because she pulls out tubes and stuff. They've had to kind of put something around her waist to keep the tubes away from her hands because she'll pull out the feeding tubes. And so she doesn't really move her hands or grasp things. Even when I held her hand later, she didn't really embrace it back. It was just very loose. She says words. It's similar to what we experienced with my daughter when she was, shortly after her brain surgery. She was very agreeable. And so you'd ask Samantha, you'd say, hey, are you doing okay? Yeah. Would you like some ice cream? Yeah. Do you like zits? Yeah. So we started to kind of, ask questions that the answer would have been no for her. But she was agreeable all the time, and she would say, yeah, but she wasn't putting everything together at that point. Well, Anne's kind of the same exact way. And so it was difficult. It was really tough, trying to talk to her. And it was one of those things, I have an experience from when I was really young. My brother was in a car accident, a head-on collision. And I have a video about that where I talk about it. I'll make sure to put it up here, or I guess it would be up here. But when my brother was in his accident, it was months later, I think it was six or 7 months after the accident. He got to go home, and I don't know if it was a visit or what, I don't remember. The video shows Isaac, and he's kind of struggling to walk, and we have to help him and everything. And he's not fully aware. He's still kind of coming to grips with things in his mind, because it was a severe head injury. He had a closed head injury, major time blood clot, a scar all the way across, in fact, almost identical to Anne's. But in that video, I watched it years and years later, I watched it all by myself. It had to be maybe 1 a.m, and I found it, right? And so I put it in back when we still had a VHS. What are those things? But I popped this thing in, and I wept. Not just because of the memories, but because I saw something that I had done. And it wasn't with any kind of, I wasn't trying to be rude or anything, but as an adult, away from that, looking back at it, I thought it was shameful. It felt shameful. And I know people might say that's not something you should judge yourself about. And I would agree, but it's something that no matter what people say, it's so different from everything you've ever experienced with that person that it's hard not to judge yourself. And what it was I would tell him, here, Isaac, come here, bud. And I would tap my leg. And I would even make little like noises trying to get his attention. And it was like talking to him like a dog. I was young, I was like 10 years old. But I remember my brother. I remember playing with him. I remember playing football with him and letting him use my gear and everything. And we'd play tackle football. I remember getting my butt whooped for something I shouldn't have gotten in trouble for, but boy, I got spanked bad. I'm sitting there and I tackle my brother, and we had an apple tree, and he fell on this apple, and the apple had a bunch of bees in it. He got like 5 stings or something. He wasn't allergic or anything. He didn't puff up or nothing, but he was definitely hurt. And he goes running, and my mom's yelling at me, "Get in here right now," whacking me and stuff. And so, but I remember that. I remember the conversations that I'd had with him, the way we'd play Cowboys and Indians, the way that we played cops and robbers or hide and seek, the way we rode our bikes and climbed trees together. I remember that, and I remember how I talked to him. And so when I saw that video, it was jolting. And I just cried. And I cried again when I was with Anne, because I not only found myself doing something similar, almost speaking as though you're talking to a child, and in some ways you are, but because I heard Angela do it too. I used to joke all the time about how her and her mom, their relationship was funky, she was the oldest of 2. And so, I had a kind of relationship with my family, and I still do, where when my mom calls, you can tell I'm really happy. I still call her mommy. I love my mom, and I love talking to her. And Angela, she loved her mom too, but their relationship was different. And so when she would call, I could always tell. She'd go, "Yeah," kind of thing. It was, but there were times where I was critical of that. And I would say, "Why do you talk to your mom that way?" But it's just the way that her and her mom talked. And I thought about it when I was at the nursing home. And I thought, as frustrating as some of those conversations with her mom may have been, my wife would give anything to be able to have those again. She'd give anything. And it really messed with me. It messed with me really bad, actually, for days. I remember I got home and I told her, I said, I don't know what I can do. Other than support her, Angela in this, and be there for her and cry with her and help her to build her up, to hold her up when she's going through hard times, and to make it so that she doesn't have as many hard times. But I said, I'm going to make a promise. And I made one. This will be my second, because I did make a promise before. And the promise before was that Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, that those three holidays still belong to her mom. And that we're going to go with the family. We're going to make food, the food that she made. We're going to make that. We're going to eat with her. That's promise number 1. That's a promise you have to keep. But I made another one, and I've already made good on it. Well, part of it. I promised her, I said, look, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a miracle worker. But I love your mom. And I know things that your mom really likes In fact, she doesn't just like these things. It's like to the extreme. If you can be with this, okay, and you'll understand what I'm saying. But she's everything in her life. Everything is the Bible, God, church, and prayer. Okay. She didn't know how to speak English when she moved here to the United States. She actually learned watching soap operas. And she doesn't really read a lot of books. In fact, when I went to her house, I didn't see any other books at all in the entire house but one. And it was the Bible. And I didn't notice this because she has a couple versions, or at least a couple editions, maybe the same one. But I have a feeling that the one in her room on her headboard is the one that I gave her. And every day she would sing. She's got a great voice. And she would sing these worship songs. You know, she's a Protestant. And so, you know, she likes a certain style of worship. And she sings it. She'll sing it at her house. And here she is at a nursing home. And they're not playing that. They were playing, the Big Three, the basketball thing. I didn't even know anything about it till then. It's kind of cool. But I can't imagine that she's digging it, you know? I can't imagine that. And so she's not hearing any of those things. She's not reading the Bible. She doesn't even have a Bible at the nursing home. And so I told my wife, I said, number one, we're getting that Bible from her house and we're bringing it to the nursing home. And number two, I'm going to create a playlist of worship songs that I know she's going to like. And number three, whenever we go, I'm going to read a little bit of the Bible to her. And I did those things. Not the Bible part. We didn't have time. We didn't have time to go to Battle Creek yet. But I took my phone and I put on some music. I think it was Bethel. But I played it. I played it right up to her ear. And I think while I was there, I think she only said maybe 5 words. But every word was a word she would say. It wasn't surprising at all. Things like Bible. Things like holy. Things like hallelujah. And she would kind of daze off. And it wasn't very clearly articulated. But I knew what she was saying. And she just, for a while, looked happy. And then Angela, she ended up, she left a little early because we had the 2 youngest with us. And so she ended up leaving. I had a little bit of time alone. And I talked to her. I told her how much she loves God. I reminded her if she needed reminding. And I read John chapter 1. And it's funny. I like reading out loud, but I need new glasses and stuff. And sometimes I get my words a little mixed up and everything. And as it was done, I was like, I think that may be the best reading I've ever done in my life. There were other people in the room too. I said they probably enjoyed it. But I think that Anne did. She wasn't in any discomfort. And then I held her hand and I prayed with her. I can't say for sure what she was thinking or feeling, but I think she knew. And I told her I'm going to treat her and I'm going to speak to her as though supposing that she in fact does know. And I made one more. I lied. I had one more promise. And I've made good on it. It's not settled yet, but it's something at least in the works. It's in the pipeline. And I really hope it works out. And we really want Anne to be at St. Anne's. We want her to be close. She can't be an hour away. That's really hard. We want to be able to visit her. She doesn't have people visiting. She didn't really have a lot of people that visited, even before the accident or anything. And so she's alone a lot. And so I want her to be close. And that way we can visit more frequently. And so I said, I'm going to call. I told Angela when we got home, I said, I can't do a lot of things, but these things I can. And I said, I can call St. Anne's every day because I guess they do have a waiting list. I didn't know at the time. And they said sometimes that waiting list can be like 2 years. And so we're open to maybe other places, but we really would like her to be there. I said, I'll call every morning. I'll call right when they open. You know, I guess they would probably receive calls all day, but when the first shift crew comes in, you know, I'll call. And I'll just ask. I'm not going to be pushy, but I'm just going to ask, you know, with a smile on my face and say, hey, are there any beds today? Did anyone just get discharged to heaven recently? I have to believe, because it's like, you know, it's like when Jesus is talking about, you beat down the door. You beat down the door, you knock and you knock and you knock. And I would knock and knock. They'd know me by my first name. I'd say, hey, it's just me again. Oh, no, Jeremiah, we don't have any beds. We'll keep you in mind. We'll let you know. No, that's okay. I'll call tomorrow. If it happens between now and tomorrow, please let me know. But if it doesn't happen between now and tomorrow, expect a call from me in the morning. Because that's something I can do. You know, it's weird. Because I'm making this video on the day that my daughter died, 5 years ago. She'd be, what, a senior? It's hard to think about. And, you know, it's one of these things, because I don't even have to remember. I don't need to prepare for it. It's inevitable. It's like Holy Week, you know? I've compared it to that before. It always comes back. And it's just one of these things, because I can't get around Angela's birthday. That's the day of the funeral. And by the way, it's the 21st, everybody. So keep her in your prayers. And if you'd like to lavish her with gifts and stuff, hit me up. I'll let you know. Because it's hard every year. Especially this year. You know, it's like one of these things. I woke up this morning and I wasn't even thinking about the date. Came in the office here, sitting down to draw, working on different projects and stuff. Big things, by the way. And I get on Facebook for a second. I don't do that very often, but I got on. And I saw that I had a bunch of people who tagged me. And I still didn't know what day it was. And then I saw the picture. And I still hope that someday, you know, maybe I'll commission somebody to paint that picture. Because it's gorgeous. It's painfully gorgeous. But I saw it. And the stuff that people were saying. And I started crying. And we went out. We tried to get some food. You know. Had some road bumps. The place was open, but they weren't accepting the gift cards because they switched over something. I don't know. So we weren't able to get what we wanted. But we, as a family, we were all outside. It was sunny and it was nice, and we were together. And we got home, and everybody wanted to play games. And I saw that my sister wanted to see this video I made. And I haven't shared it publicly because I can't. I can't share it because Samantha's dead in the video. Not the whole video, but it shows. It's a video I made. It's cinematic, in fact. It's beautiful. It's the best video I've ever made of anything in my life. And I think I've only shared it with maybe 9 or 10 people. But somebody wanted to see it that had not. And they heard about this thing, this mythological video out there that's like extremely moving, that people watch over and over and over and just weep and wail and remember the beauty and the pain of the loss and the life of my daughter. And somebody wanted to watch it. And so I needed to find the link because it's set to private. It's on Telegram. It's set to private in a private channel. But I saw it. And so I said, well, I better, I'll watch this thing. And Lucian, I bring it up because of Louie. Little Louie, he wanted to see it. He wanted to see it because he knows Samantha. He sees her picture on our wall. He loves looking at the photo album that we have from the funeral. A lot of pictures in there. I don't know why they put them in. But Angela picked them. I don't know. She shouldn't have done that. But but he loves that photo album. Sometimes he's even slept with it. And I've thought about this a lot as he gets older and figures it out. He knows The owl, he knows what that is. He sees it on my arm. He sees it. Samantha. He likes watching videos, and he saw for a second. He saw it, and he knew it was her, and he said, me too, I want to see. I didn't know what to do. So I tried to be sneaky and go to the office so I could watch it by myself. And he followed me in here, that little bugger. I said, no, go watch something on the TV. Go play a game. I'm pulling out all the stops. And he wanted to see it. And he was getting mad because I closed the door, so I let him in. And he sat on my lap. And he watched that video. And he saw me cry. And you could see in his eyes a kind of sadness that was remarkable. It was almost mature in a weird way. And there's a scene where Samantha, that she waves and says, bye-bye. And he waved back at her like it was a video chat. And he said, hi. I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew I needed to make the video about Anne, but I didn't know what I was going to do. And by that point, because I planned on making it today anyway, and then it hits me, oh my gosh, it's like double whammy, And so you may notice my hair, it's all jacked up, because I actually went running, and anyone who knows me knows that is like, Jeremiah doesn't run. He doesn't go run. He has a bike. He likes to swim. He likes to ride bike and do different things and lift weights. But running on the road? Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, right. I did. It hurt. And in a weird way, I wanted it to hurt. I don't know what they call it, the transference of pain, or I forget what it's called. Kind of felt like that. That if my feet hurt, my shins hurt, and my 43-year-old knees hurt, my muscles hurt, and I'm breathing hard, and my chest is just filling up, and I'm aching all over. And it's like I can cope. It's something that just sticks with you forever. It doesn't go away. I'm grateful. In fact, I'm grateful right now. I'm crying. Like I am. Sometimes I get mad because I don't cry as much anymore. I told my mom the same thing because my mom, she told me, she was saying how she's been crying a lot, and she watched that video over and over today. The little movie I made. It's only what, 6 minutes or something, but it's powerful. It's got music. Plus, it's copyrighted, so I wouldn't be able to share it for numerous reasons on like YouTube or Facebook and stuff. But my mom has the link. And so she's watched it over and over and over and over and wept. And I told her that I'm glad. I'm glad that she's crying. I ask that you pray. That you continue to pray. And keep us in your thoughts. I know, look, I guess at the end of the day, I just want to say I'm really grateful. I'm grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for your support. I'm grateful for those people that reach out to us at different times for different reasons, but that they reach out to us and they're just part of our lives. I'm grateful for those individuals who have reached out to us when we are going through an especially difficult time. And I'm really grateful for those who stood by our side through the whole thing. Or, look, if you just came along, you just came on board. If you just came on board, look, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we're friends. And I guess I just ask, keep us in prayer. And I'll say it again, especially Anne and my wife. Keep them in prayer. Keep them in your heart. Keep them in your words, when you talk to people, keep them close because they need you. And they're really grateful. And so am I.